Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball? You know, where the fans think Krillin can one shot One Punch Man, you know, in all the anime. I don't know. Even though I'm a Dragon Ball fan myself, Yamcha is not doing nothing to damn near nobody, bro. Respectfully. Take him out that verse, bro. Okay.
So this week, Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out, and I, for one, am pretty hyped to see
it's probably out.
Spider-Man back on.
Yeah, it is out. I'm pretty sure it's out. Am I about to go watch it? I'm going to watch the recap on it.
On the big screen once again. Despite having covered Marvel's power scaling many times here on the channel, I've never given Spider-Man himself his own video covering his individual power scaling in depth, and now
Spider-Man is tough in the comics.
Unfortunately, Spider-Man sometimes gets a lot of slander within the general comics and power scaling community for seemingly being kind of weak, and for the most part, I don't share that perception. Obviously, as a comic book character, Spider-Man at this point has appeared in hundreds of stories, had dozens of writers, and literally thousands of different feats and showings across his history. And that's not even counting the video games, movies, and animated shows that all have their own versions of Peter Parker. Due to this massive catalog, Spider-Man's feats have absolutely shown a massive range for where he potentially scales. So today, I'll be putting Peter up against a gauntlet of increasingly powerful villains and opponents, being the villains of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Realistically,
I don't know. I mean, you have people like King Vegeta blowing up multiple planets, and he is nowhere. They say Krillin can drop him easy, so...
How far would Spider-Man get in Dragon Ball? Today, we're gonna find out. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's jump right in. For this video, as Spider-Man is a superhero, we will be specifically putting Peter up against the main villains of every Dragon Ball arc, starting from original Dragon Ball, and going all the way until he essentially has a 0% chance of saving the day anymore. We will be using the mainline comics Universe 616 Peter, and so with all that out of the way, let's jump right in to Dragon Ball's first villain.
Okay, respectfully, before he even talk, the villains I think he have no chance of beating. Okay, let's think about it. Maybe, bro, luck, if he have very much luck on his side, even though Janemba, before he turned into the buff, let me violate you, and he was over here having copy abilities and all type of stuff, so maybe comic book Spider-Man can probably get Janemba, maybe, but villains, he do not have Cell. I cannot cap. Spider-Man do not have Cell. Maybe, maybe. Super Boo, never. Especially Buhan, yeah, nah. Frieza, oh, nah. Zamasu, never. Who else? Oh, Jiren, not a villain. Probably not a villain. Like, Omega Shenron. Not really. We're gonna see though. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
As the first major
like I said, I got
Dragon Ball, Pilaf himself is obviously incredibly weak with literally zero combat abilities, but he still nearly does defeat Goku and the others by trapping them in his castle. This random room is pretty impressive, as both Goku and Yamcha were unable to break its walls with normal attacks and even his Kamehameha. At this point in the story, Goku's power level was only 10, but at this point he was already in the small building levels of power with his basic attacks.
His power level ended up
escaping this room due to transforming into his Uzaru state, which was a 10 times power level multiplier, which obviously Pilaf had no way of stopping.
So
in the exact same scenario, I think Peter's experience and spider sense would just stop him from being captured in the first place, and he would deal with them just like any normal goons. Even if he was trapped in this room, however, Spider-Man has just personally demonstrated measurably greater feats than this multiple times throughout his history. He's been able to catch, carry, and take entire buildings falling on top of him, which comes out to large building level. So regardless,
this is probably something one of his villains was probably going to do this
with ease.
He probably did this.
Now the Red Ribbon Army to this day is probably the most unique opponent
he got the Red Ribbon Army
up against, because well, it's an army made up of likely thousands of soldiers with bases across the world. But for
Spider-Man has to fight in wars.
Just normal guys with guns. This essentially makes them the average thing that Spider-Man goes up against with ease every single day, and really becomes a question of stamina. With how Spider-Man has been shown easily smashing various military vehicles like tanks, he would have no...
He don't even have to fight. His iron spider suit can fight for him. So he really not gonna lose the
issue
sweat.
taking on the bulk of the army, even if it may just take a little while to get through them all. Beyond this though, there are the strongest weapons the army has access to during this time, being Mercenary Tau and more importantly, the Battle Jacket. The Battle Jacket
Spider-Man got
is even
them.
stronger than Tau, as it does perform better against Goku, with its strongest weapon being a town-level missile that completely flattened the top of the mountain. Goku pretty easily outsmarts Officer Black while using this mech, and Spider-Man frankly has just gone up against equivalent or even stronger mechs to the point where he literally found errors in their designs and offered to help fix them. Even if the missile
he is
or
a
one
smart
of
character.
Donon rays managed to hit Peter, he would probably be able to just survive them. Dr. Octopus's arms, which Peter can easily take on even when holding back, could tank entire city-level explosions superior to both Tau's and the Battle Jacket's output. Peter, at least being in this nuclear bomb tier, is pretty consistent with other feats, like the time he overpowered an electromagnetic coil that could not be broken by any force on Earth, which again should include city-level nuclear bombs. So once again, Spider-Man
is strong.
So after this point, we enter what one might call the limit between the two major scaling interpretations of Spider-Man, which I like to call the friendly neighborhood interpretation and the Marvel's greatest superhero interpretation. The friendly neighborhood interpretation is essentially the one we've been using up to this point to scale Peter. It views Spider-Man as a generally more grounded superhero who, while he is certainly far stronger than many of the other so-called street tier superheroes, his level of power lies within the scope of the friendly neighborhood that he protects and the level of power that he has directly demonstrated. Most of the time,
New York,
not going up against world-ending threats, and his strength.
The whole Avenger teams, they only protect the New York. That is funny.
That. One can consider this the Spider-Man that usually appears in his own comics most of the time. The second interpretation is the Marvel's greatest superhero interpretation. The idea that Spider-Man is essentially the embodiment of heroism within Marvel itself and the representative of the universe as a whole, and that given the circumstances, he can save the day against impossible odds and stand among the strongest heroes of Earth. This interpretation of Spider-Man is often seen in non-Spider-Man specific stories when he gets the chance to interact with the greater Marvel universe and usually go up against those world-ending threats. Now, thankfully, it seems pretty clear that the writers of Marvel are incredibly aware that these two versions of Spider-Man, which I personally think are both equally valid interpretations of the character, cannot easily coexist without explanation. Thankfully, over the years, they have provided many different explanations as to why his strength seems to vary, and I'm just going to list off a few. The stress factor. Guides have explicitly stated that Spider-Man's strength varies with the amount of stress he's feeling, and so it can enter a seemingly unknown level. Essentially, this allows his strength to scale with the stakes of the situation. Holding back. Peter both unconsciously and consciously holds back against his opponents, to the point where most of his villains that had been fighting him for years had never actually seen his real all-out power. Unfortunately, this...
I swore that was the whole... I swore that was the whole lore, even in the movies. When he was fighting the newer movies too, and he was beating the life out of the Green Goblin. I thought that was Spider-Man finally, I'm finally serious now.
Unconscious holding back has seemingly been used in recent years to kind of nerf Spider-Man in some stories, where he's suddenly performing badly against people he simply shouldn't be performing that badly against. Power fluctuations. Peter has just undergone various explicit stat boosts and nerfs over the years. He's lost and gained his powers, gone through rebirths, training arcs, and there's also the aspect of being a spider totem, that Peter is quite literally tapping into a magical energy source that can vary substantially. I say all of this to explain that after this point, if you personally believe in the neighborhood interpretation,
bro, get bit by a spider. Now he has mythical abilities.
Spider-Man, then he stops right here. He's not beating Moonbusters like Roshi or Tien and everyone else that comes after, but to do so would also be missing out on like half of the feats Spider-Man has had in over 60 years of history. The real question going forward for each Dragon Ball villain is if Spider-Man has beaten, damaged, or matched someone equally strong, if not stronger than the villain, and a lot of the time the answer is simply yes. Starting with the Dragon Ball villains whose power level is below 1000, you have the likes of Tien, King Piccolo, and Piccolo Jr. These guys all should just inherently scale above Roshi's moonbusting feat with their strongest attacks, made consistently by both guides and statements calling them moonbusters, as well as the feats of slightly stronger versions of Piccolo. though. Now, the Marvel Universe is awash with various planet-busting feats and statements, but one of the best
Oh yeah.
baselines ever established is that the gray Joe Fixit Hulk, who is one of the weakest versions of Hulk, and less powerful than essentially any other green version, was able to destroy an asteroid that was twice the size of the Earth. This feat has been calced anywhere from obviously planetary all the way to
Okay.
star level due to the nature of the violent fragmentation. Now, while Spider-Man has beaten Grey Hulk, this was due to being amped at the time, so we're not counting that. Instead, Peter has just had numerous encounters with Green Hulks of various levels of anger throughout the years, able to combat him, hurt him, and in some cases straight
Shoot,
up
they
beat
best
him with
friends.
and without assistance. Now, I'm not saying that Spider-Man is anywhere near the Hulk's full power, but they really
That
do
is
love
funny.
putting Spider-Man up against the Hulk and not having the Green Giant one-shot him. Not only is he going to fight him in the new movie, but later this year, Spider-Man is going to be fighting the current Infernal Hulk. So the idea that Hulk isn't obliterating
Okay.
Spider-Man is consistent among Marvel writers for literal decades. In fact, one of Spider-Man's most notorious villains, Morlun, is just straight up stated to be as strong as the likes of Thor and Hulk. Moving into the Saiyan and Namek
Okay.
saga tiers of power,
Okay.
you have a range going anywhere from dwarf star level all the way to arguably universal,
Oh,
going
wow.
off statements about second form Frieza.
Literally.
However, using character statements like this in a debate against a comic book character never really bodes well. Like the time Spider-Man went up against Puma, a being who was one with the entire universe and had become strong enough to kill the Beyonder. Back in slightly more grounded territory, Frieza in particular represents a big step up in power to those who came before, demonstrating dwarf star level feats in his weakest form, and through multipliers would inherently be at the star level in his final form. However, Spider-Man has gone up against or outright beaten characters with star level strength. Take one of Spider-Man's most infamous feats of all time of absolutely
He got the black suit.
hands
Like, I feel like, bro, when he get that black suit, bro, he is literally the okay. If we're talking about symbiote Spider-Man, oh yeah, he got them. He definitely got them. I'm not gonna count.
former
Spider-Man with Venom, oh yeah, we got
Herald
that.
of Galactus, Fire Lord. This guy is just outright stated to be as strong as a small star and has battled against the Silver Surfer, character with his own array of planetary to solar system level feats, who Spider-Man and his villains have also fought against before. There's also the time Spider-Man has 1v1 Gladiator, matching him in speed and strength, the same guy who has his own star level feats. Still, I think one of the most ridiculous feats Spider-Man has pulled off in recent comics is during Symbiotic Spider-Man Crossroads.
Okay, I feel like they do this way better than DC. Then I know DC have a lot of comics too. They're a comic book story too, but I feel like these people have damn near comics on every single one of their heroes. X-Men, Marvel superheroes, not Marvel superheroes. DC, they focus on the Justice League and Justice League
Peter,
only.
alongside the Eternals, fights the villain Carnilla. During this fight, Carnilla gets tickled by an attack harnessing the power of 100 suns, only for Spider-Man to immediately perform better just by using his webs and physical attacks. Now, some people might argue that this is symbiote Spider-Man and doesn't scale
way
to his
stronger.
form. However, this is a prequel story and takes place right after Peter got the black suit for the first time. In this initial story, it's explicitly stated that the black suit did not make him any stronger, meaning that this is unironically a base Peter feat. However, if we enter the Cell Saga and at least Perfect Cell, an issue arises that has nothing to do with strength. There are absolutely ways to continuously chain scale Peter higher and argue that he's universal, multiversal, universal, whatever. The issue though is that regardless of this fact, he simply lacks destructive capacity. Like, even if he was stronger, how are Punch, Kick, and Webs going to ever beat Cell or Boo, who can come back from literally a cell and literally being turned to smoke? Even against weaker villains, the moment any of them are capable of easily blowing up the planet, even if Peter could hypothetically beat them, what can he do if they just rage quit and decide to blow up the whole planet, which they all have done before? There is also simply the fact that most of the time, Spider-Man is not operating at his max potential. For every time he beats up a planet buster, we also have a time where he gets hurt by bullets. So, how far does Spider-Man really get?
Not that far.
Taking everything into account, I don't think it's that far off to say that he can, at his absolute peak, when at maximum stress, anger, and not holding back, enter those planetary tiers or beyond. And so it's not crazy to say that he can take down the threats of original Dragon Ball. Does he usually scale there? Absolutely not. If someone like Frieza
Fridge level
planet, Spider-Man really can't do anything about it. If there were any crazy Spider-Man feats, statements, or scales that I missed, please let me know where you personally have the wall crawler in the comments. But
bro, W video, okay, count. Like I said, how far would y'all think? I mean, he really nailed every point onto the marker. I can't even get him. But yo, this is it for this video. Yo, peace.